Moving an ever-changing real estate market.
This program is funded in whole or in part by Trusted Agent USA. Illinois license number 475-145-795.
Now, here's Larry.
All right, everybody. We are live and back on the air, and we want to welcome all of you, and we're glad to have you here at the Real Estate Radio Show, and we're coming to you live from the studios of WCPT. My name is Larry Shakman. I am your real estate therapist for the next hour, and I'm your host. We are going to be talking about a lot of different things. We got a lot of stuff going on, a fun show set up for you today. We have a great guest, a buyer client of mine that I've been working with for about the last 3 months or so, helping them find a home. And Destiny is going to give us a little insight. We're going to peel the onion back, and she's going to let us know what it was like to work with me. She's on medication now, probably. And also what it was like to work with our group, Luxe Group, our attorneys, all that kind of good stuff. And just what the process was like here in Chicago as compared to where she moved from in Florida. So we'll bring Destiny on in a second here. We're going to dive right into today's show. As I said, my name is Larry Shakman. I'll be your host. I'm the COO of Luxe Group here in Chicago Metro. We are a group of real estate agents that service the entire Chicago metropolitan area. So we're glad to have you with us. I want to thank last week's guest, Joe Peterson, the CEO of iList Tech. We had a great conversation with him. If you're a real estate agent, you seriously want to look into iList Tech. There's some great tools that give your sellers and you a competitive advantage in this highly competitive real estate market here in Chicago Metro and in a lot of areas around the country. As I said, this week's guest is Destiny Bingman, and Destiny's going to talk about all the great things that we did for her, hopefully. Okay, so we'll get into that in a minute. Little bit of house cleaning. Remember, I like to say this every single week. Real estate is a full contact sport. So if you have any questions, if you want to hop in on the conversation, have anything you'd like to add about the buying or selling process, give us a call at 773-763-9278. That's 773-763-9278. And you can reach us right here at the station. You can also text us at that number as well. So we'd love to have you join in if you are inclined to do that. We are also streaming live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And we're also on the air at 8:20 a.m. WCPT on Facebook as well. So again, we're glad to have you with us. I want to bring to everybody's attention something we're going to start doing the last Saturday of every month. This will begin in July. So our first influencers panel will be July 27th. And we're going to have real estate influencers on from all different parts of the real estate spectrum, if you will. So people from the lending, people from the staging, attorneys, home inspectors, people that really are out there on the front lines. We're going to be talking about a lot of different stuff. So our influencers panel will begin the 27th of July. And I'm looking forward to that. That'll be some lively conversation. So the question of the day today, and we're going to ask Destiny this as well, is what is the scariest part about buying a house? So Destiny isn't really not a first-time home buyer. Her and her husband, Kevin, they have purchased a couple homes in Florida previously, and they moved to the Chicago area recently. Actually, today after the show, we're going to the final walkthrough for her purchase, which is closing this coming Monday. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And it's a great property. We were just discussing that the seller that lives there now and has lived there for about the last 30 years or so, I believe, with her mom. She has just taken great care of this property. And the amazing thing about this property is, which is in Richton Park, it's really a gorgeous 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath house, nice yard, really in great condition, under $300,000. So there are still some values out there. Believe me, the $300,000 single family home hasn't yet gone the way of the T-Rex, but it's going that way quickly. So, but there are still some good bargains out there. So remember, if you want to sell, buy, or invest, you can give me a call directly at 630-921-0611. And Luxe Group is a dynamic group of brokers that works together to get you over the finish line every time. And Destiny can talk about that a little bit too. She could, she's going to hopefully not roast me alive on the show today. However, we're going to give her a chance to give you guys some insight into how we work and how she feels about that. Was it a good experience for her? And so let's see what else. So yeah, we moved our entire group recently to LPT Realty, and the reason for that is it just offers a ton more marketing reach for our sellers and some really great tools for our buyers as well. So we're very excited about this move, and we're excited to have all you with us this morning. The market is really active. We have a lot to talk about, as I mentioned. We have some new listings coming on the market in Naperville, Chicago, Evanston, Wheaton. Lots going on out there. Buyer demand is still pretty high out there. Let's take a look at some quick headlines. Then we'll take a quick break and we'll bring Destiny on. Sorry. So housing prices are not going down. So here's another indication of that. So in the Chicago metro area, MRED just recently came out with a stat that residential listings reached their highest median sale price in the Chicago metro area. Now, MRED covers Chicago and all of the surrounding counties. So it's a huge area. The median list price right now is $358,500. That's the highest it's ever been. And remember, this is in the Chicago land area, the Chicago metro market. And that's about a 4% week over week increase. And it's about a 16% year over year increase. So, again, we talked last week about how the median price is about $414,000 for the country. Here in Chicago, it's about $358,500. Both of those are record figures, and they both indicate that, you know what? Prices are not going down. They're really not. So there's no point. You never win trying to wait out the market. When we were at 6% interest and everyone was saying, hey, I'm going to wait till it gets below 6%. Guess what? We're at 7.05 about right now. We'll get into interest rates in a second. So don't wait out the market. If it's time to move, if it's time to sell, if it's time to buy, now's the time to do it. We always like to say life moves real estate, right? Not interest rates. So, the prices are not going down, and we just set another new record here in Chicago. And again, it's not really a slow market. There's still pretty good buyer demand out there, even with rates being at 7%. And I don't see rates really going much lower than 7% anytime soon. Let's and really, as far as prices go, what drives prices? Supply and demand. So as long as there is not enough supply out there and the demand is still relatively strong, I do not see prices going down. Excuse me. So keep that in mind when you're out there looking and thinking about selling, thinking about buying. That's the market we're in right now. I don't see prices going down. I don't see interest rates really going down. So here's a final fact that I think is kind of interesting. So the NBC News Home Buyer Index recently identified Iroquois County, Illinois, which is about 60 miles south of Chicago, as the U.S. the most cost-effective and affordable housing market in the U.S. in Iroquois County. Now, a couple of things about Iroquois County, which is kind of unique. So Iroquois County, and this is all as of the 2020 U.S. Census, Iroquois County, say that 10 times in a row, has a total population of 27,077 people. So it's a small county. And as an example of that, the largest town in Iroquois County is Watseka, and the population there is 4,694. And most of the other cities are right around about 1,200 people. So it's a small section of Northeast Illinois. And as I said, not a large population, but it's been tagged as the U.S.'s most cost-effective and affordable housing market. So that's kind of interesting. Finally, let's get to mortgage rates real quick. So we touched on it briefly. Mortgage rates right now, if you're looking at either whether it's an FHA, VA, or 15-year fixed, you're looking right around 6.5%. And if you're looking at a 30-year fixed, you're right around 7%, about 7.05. And they've been right at these levels for weeks now, really. So I don't see them going down. And I don't really see them going up that much. Now, we're in an election year, so you never know about that October surprise that could, cause things to get wacky here. All right, we are going to take a short break. We're going to be back with Destiny, and we're going to talk about how things went for her.
Tune in to Real Estate Radio Saturdays at 9 a.m. hosted by the real estate therapist Larry Shakman, a top producing real estate broker, author, CEO, and founder of TrustedAgentUSA.com. Top performing agents for 2% commission, saving you thousands when you sell, buy, or invest. Real Estate Radio, the ultimate real estate radio experience. Get insider tips from experts throughout the real estate industry. Streaming live on Facebook at WCPT 820. Trusted Agent USA Illinois, license number 475145795. Welcome back to Real Estate Radio, sponsored in part by TrustedAgentUSA.com, the ultimate real estate matchmaker, saving you thousands. Now back to Larry, the real estate therapist.
All right, everybody, we are back, and we are happy to have you here joining us for the Real Estate Radio Show this Saturday morning. We're here every Saturday morning from 9 to 10 a.m., and we have a really great show set up for you this morning because today I am lucky enough to have one of my favorite clients ever, Destiny Bingman. Destiny, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I appreciate being here.
Yeah, we are happy to have you here. I was telling you earlier, this is the first time I've ever actually brought a client on the show, and I'm excited about that. I'm sure you're going to roast me alive here. I know you're on medication for the last 3 months you worked with me. I'm sorry. But, all kidding aside, buying a home or selling a home is one of the most stressful and fraught experiences anybody has. I've done it several times. You've done it several times. Most people do it, maybe 2 or 3 times in their life. And but it can be a pretty emotional roller coaster of a ride, right?
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Now, you and your husband Kevin you made the move from Florida, the Tampa area, to Chicago. Yep. What spurred that move?
So there's been a lot of stuff going on in Florida with legislation. There's been a lot of heat, and because of my health conditions and stuff, I literally can't go outside in Florida anymore without hitting 140 beats per minute on my heart. It's not God, yeah. Good. So there's been that. It's just a lot of different factors adding up together and hitting the point of like, all right, it's time to move. We're going north because Kevin hates the heat too. So we went, all right, well, Minnesota, Illinois, probably our best bets as far as closeness to family, access to airports and the infrastructure and stuff for transportation. And all right, cool. Between those two, where's our hobby centric? Because we participate in a hobby where we go and do live action role play live in person at different places, and it's a cool cross country thing that we go and travel and do and stuff. And we went, cool. Illinois is nice and in the middle. It is a transportation hub. Yeah. So let's look there. Yeah. So that's what led us to Chicago. Awesome. And then we went, all right, cool. North, south, where's more affordable? And that brought us to the south suburbs there. Yeah. So. Well, you found a great home. We're going to talk about it, talk about your experience a little bit, the process, how it differs from Florida to Illinois, and just how you found that the whole process here in Illinois. So do you have family here in Florida, family and here in Illinois? So not directly in Illinois. We have a lot of friends in Illinois. My family is actually up in Aiken, Minnesota. Oh, okay. So it's a nice 8-hour drive to get it that way. So I was like, all right, that's, I can do that in a day and we can go visit for however long and that's fine. Yeah. Works out really well. Yeah. So they're still accessible, but not too accessible. Yeah. Yeah. You don't want them too close. Not always. Right? Not always. So Florida, Florida is a different animal. Illinois is a different animal. All real estate is local, right? It's all local. Very much. So what's going on, even in a particular suburb of Illinois, what's going on in Highland Park may be completely different than what's going on in Des Plaines or Naperville or Plainfield. I'm imagining that's the same thing in Florida. Yeah, to a degree and stuff. I feel like you get a little bit more sprawl, and the fact that the house costs are wild down in Florida right now. Now, what's wild in Florida? The housing costs. Okay. The prices of houses on the market right now. Okay. Because looking at what we picked up here, you're looking at least $500K down there. Bare minimum. And that's not in great condition levels of cost. So they're wildly different. Just what you can get for the money you have is just entirely different. They're different animals. So when you were living in Florida, you moved here, or you're in the process of moving here. You sold, I think you mentioned to me it was about $430,000 house you sold. Just a little under that is what we ended up selling for. Little under $430,000. Give us the footprint of that house. What is the square footage? How many bedrooms? How many baths? $430,000. That was a 1630 square foot. Okay. 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage attached. Brand new windows and doors. Brand new heat pump put in. Okay. A little bit dated, but really nice community. Really nice space. Not a huge backyard, but a really decent backyard. So the one we're moving into now is going to have a little bit more space and stuff. It's a bigger backyard. It's a bigger interior. We have the basement, which is very exciting for both Kevin and I, who have lived in. It's a nice sized basement too. We're excited to get eyes on it and really stand in it. Yeah. So. You guys have a lot you can do with this house that you bought. I mean, it's in great shape. It's ready to go. But they're, like with everybody, when you buy a house, you do your own thing. Yeah, you gotta make it home. Yeah. You do your own thing. So in Florida, the other thing about Florida is, prices can be crazy. They spike differently
in Florida, in California, on the coast than they do in the Midwest. The Midwest typically is a little more level in terms of its price and how quickly they rise and how quickly they fall, although they've been rising everywhere for the past 2-3 years, whatever. But in Florida, the other thing about Florida is I mean, you mentioned, and we don't get into politics here because then I would change this into a whole new show. But in Florida, some of the other things going on there, in addition to some of the legislation, is, for instance, homeowner insurance has just gone through the roof. So let's talk about that a little bit.
They had a whole company leave the state over
more than one.
Yeah. Well, I know that there was like a big contributor. So like it was one of those, like I think they had like 30% of the market and they dipped out entirely.
They left.
And it left everybody absolutely scrambling. So now, you know, people's insurance rates have literally doubled. Like I had coworkers who were talking about the fact, like, my insurance is literally doubled. And we looked out because we hit our spike a little bit earlier in the year and stuff before we actually sold, and we only went up like $400 or $500, which is still not insignificant when you know you're living paycheck to paycheck and stuff. But I was looking at it and I'm like, oh, that's nothing compared to the stories that I've been hearing and like what everybody else is talking about and what the big news and stuff on things are. Like we didn't lose our company, thankfully. So we had an increase, but it wasn't as excessive as some of these other companies are, where it seems very much like they're setting themselves up to have enough pushback that people are just going to leave them. So they'd be like, cool, we're out. But like, that's the other exciting thing for me for coming up this way is I'm finally out of Florida and I can have USAA actually insure my home and take advantage of all the bundles and stuff that they do. Because they don't insure in Florida because of the sinkhole risks and stuff. So like there's so many different contributing factors with that. But the insurance market down there is.
What else has gone up other
insane.
than homeowner insurance? Are there other things that have spiked significantly? I know, listen, all over the country, like car insurance has gone up.
Oh, yeah.
And things like that. But honestly, anything else?
Honestly, just like as far as like Florida and costs go, it's been the inflation because they've sat at, I think, close to 18% on average last year.
Wow.
Which was the highest in the nation.
That's crazy.
And let me tell you, ouch.
Yeah.
My grocery bills doubled.
I wish I knew, like, why in Florida would inflation spike to 18%, where in other areas it may have spiked only 8%?
So, like, I don't have quite enough knowledge in the realms of like inflation and stuff and like how that all works. But it's absolutely
across
wild.
the board, food, everything.
The food especially. Like people were talking about how bad the grocery bills were. They're like, I am spending literally $100. I go buy 20 items and I've spent $100.
Yeah.
And it's like,
it's tough. It's tough out there for people.
We had eggs for a good chunk there, and this was more of a nationwide thing where like the prices spiked, but we literally, I bought like the 15 dozen from Sam's Club at some point. And so I went and looked back through my history because my mom and I split a box at some point there. And I was like, okay, cool. Because it was like $30. That's fine for 15 dozen. Plenty. I went to go get more eggs and I went, that's $70.
Oh my.
Get out of here.
That is crazy.
No way. No.
Well, one of the things that particularly contributed to the cost of eggs just exploding was that avian flu. And that's what, how they had 100 million birds die, and that's going to spike it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
but you add on top of that the inflation and then like literally the price of eggs more than doubled.
Yes. Yeah.
And then it went up further.
Yeah.
And it eventually dropped back down. They recovered and stuff. But like that period where it was just like, this is wild.
Yeah, inflation's been tough. It's been sticky. We're down to about 3.3% inflation from 8 plus inflation. That's
Yay.
good. We're going in the right direction. We're not where we want to be yet. It's still tough on people out there, but we are headed in the right direction. So that's a good thing.
Progress.
Yeah, progress. You got to put things, like we were talking before we came on the air, you have to have some context with things because, and we were talking about that in reference to the tax bills that are coming out now for Cook County. And the median tax bill in Cook County went up 19%. And in some south suburbs, just exploded to like 120%, like in Phoenix, Illinois, in Dalton, Illinois, it went up as much as, 120, 130%. In Richmond Park, where you just bought, it went up about 39%.
Yep. Which is very moderate compared to some of the other numbers going on.
It really is. But, you still got to sit back and wonder, what's the bang for the buck? Why are my taxes going up? Where's that money going to? How is it going to make my life better in this municipality? And you made a good point. Where were they? Where are they going? Why are they being raised? So you got to give it some context.
Yeah. And like being able to do that and figure that out, even just locally, is fantastic capabilities and stuff. The resources are out there.
Yeah.
And when the resources don't tell you, then you gotta follow up a little bit further with people. But yeah.
So one of the really interesting things you brought to my attention before we came on the air is when you sold your house in Florida, in Tampa, and when you bought and then when you sold, you did both of those things with Zillow.
Yeah, that was the house prior. Like we bought our last house from Zillow and sold the house prior to that to Zillow.
Yeah.
We literally snuck in there right on that back end of the cusp of where they went, oh no, we're out. We're not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
We closed our both houses on the same day. So morning to sell, afternoon to buy. On the day they announced that they were letting go of like 25% of their workforce in regards to those things. And like it was full sections of like the buying section just gone.
Yeah. So just to give people some history, Zillow got into the flipping game and they lost a lot of money. They lost like $1 billion and they got in and out of that whole thing in probably less than a year or somewhere in that time
I feel like it was
range.
About a year and a half, something like that.
So, and Destiny sold her house directly to Zillow, which they then put on the market.
They turned it around, and I don't think we ever saw it go up for actual. Like we didn't see the numbers on what it actually sold for, but it sold to an investment company who either Zillow did or they did, flipped the kitchen and turned it around and listed it for rent at double what we were paying in mortgage fees prior.
Right. So let's track this, guys. So Destiny bought this house for about $330. Right.
This is the house that was bought for $195.
Oh, you bought
in 2019.
Okay, so you bought this house for $195 in 2019. You sold it in 2024.
2021.
Okay, this is the first house. Okay, bought the first house for $195 from Zillow.
No, straight bought that. So bought that from previous owner.
Brought it from previous owner.
Sold
$195.
Sold it to Zillow for $290.
Sold it to Zillow for $290.
They turned it around to an investment company, and that $1,800 a month mortgage that we were paying doubled in the rent that they were asking.
Okay, so two things happened here. Zillow bought the house. They then sold it to a hedge fund or an investment company. That investment company then fixed it up a little bit, did their thing, put it back on the market, not as a sale, but as a rental property, which is what most of these hedge funds do. And they've been doing for a while now. But the price really to live there went up exponentially, because when you own that house, you were paying a mortgage, I think you mentioned to me, of around $1,800.
Yep.
Okay. And they raised that, they then turned it into a rental, and that rental is $3,600 plus, or right around $3,600.
Yeah, right around.
Yeah. So what does that do, folks? It makes it more expensive to live in that house that a homeowner was living in for about $1,800. Now it's $3,600, and it takes that home off the market in terms of a sale. So it takes it out of the inventory, and that is part of what's driving prices up on homes.
Exactly.
And that is, sorry, I had my bottle in front of our TikTok viewers.
Nope.
That is what is continuing to put upward pressure on pricing here, is supply and demand. So when a hedge fund comes in and buys 500 or 5,000 homes and turns them all into rentals, it takes them off the market as sales. So people like you and people like me and other people cannot go out there and buy that house, but they could rent it for exponentially more than they'd be paying if they bought it.
Right.
So that's, you know, I mean, that's part of the issue, probably not as big a part of it as a lot of people think in terms of hedge funds doing that, but it's definitely part of it.
Absolutely.
You
It
know,
definitely adds to the struggle.
Yes, it plays in the equation. Let's see. So let's talk a little bit about, how was the selling experience in Florida? Was that?
It was a little bit difficult. So, like, they've been running into the thing where nobody seems to know how to price down there right now, because there's so much talk and glib about how expensive the houses are. So everybody's overvaluing everything. And so they're listing really high.
Yeah.
So, like, we ended up listing around 450 because we'd seen a few houses with similar layouts and stuff sold for that in the last 6 months. Well, that 6 month back was definitely like the top of the bubble. So we came down pretty significantly, pretty quickly and stuff. We brought it down to about 419, and we got an offer for 413. And that was the one we accepted and stuff. And that was a family moving in and stuff and trying to build up, and like very, very much community based. Like that whole area is very community based that we moved out of. So like being able to go, okay, cool, there's a family moving in. They're going to be here for a good chunk of a long time. They're going to get along with the neighbors. Like, this is fantastic. So we're really excited about that. But pushing and getting it sold was a little bit difficult. Like, it was actually kind of nerve-wracking for a minute there, because we were like, are we not gonna like make the money back that we were hoping to make back on this? Are we going to be struggling to try and, you know, pull money together for closing on a new house?
Now, this house that you sold for 413, you purchased that for how much?
340.
Okay, so you were able to get out of that with a little bit of money, not have to go into pocket for closing costs and things like that.
Yeah.
Which is good.
We were actually able to, we had loans on for the brand new windows and the heat pump that we had put in and stuff, which absolutely delightful. Heat pump all the way.
Yeah.
Here for it. Florida's got mild enough winters for it, so it works really well. So we were able to pay off both of those loans. We were able to pay off a bunch of credit card debt and still have money to turn around for closing. So we have our cash to close on top of that. So like
you're in a better spot.
Yes, significantly. Like it all worked out very nicely.
That is awesome, because that's what I like to hear, because a lot of people buy at the very top of their, you know, where they could buy, and it gets them into trouble down the road if surprises come up.
Yep. And surprises always come up.
Surprises always come up, and we're going to talk about that a little bit too. We're going to take another quick break here, and then we're going to talk about Destiny and Kevin's buying experience here in Illinois.
Tune in to Real Estate Radio Saturdays at 9 a.m. hosted by the real estate therapist Larry Shakman, a top producing real estate broker, author, CEO, and founder of TrustedAgentUSA.com. Top performing agents for 2% commission, saving you thousands when you sell, buy, or invest. Real Estate Radio, the ultimate real estate radio experience. Get insider tips from experts throughout the real estate industry. Streaming live on Facebook at WCPT 820. Trusted Agent USA Illinois, license number 475145795. Welcome back to Real Estate Radio, sponsored in part by TrustedAgentUSA.com, the ultimate real estate matchmaker, saving you thousands. Now back to Larry, the real estate therapist.
All right, everybody, welcome back. My name's Larry Shakman. I am your host here at the Real Estate Radio Show, coming to you from WCPT 820 a.m. We're streaming live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And so be sure to tune in. And by the way, wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, you can listen to the Real Estate Radio Show. So check us out. We'd love to have you guys join us every week. We are here every Saturday, 9 to 10 a.m. And we're happy to have you here. And we're happy to have Destiny Bingman here telling us all about her experience selling in Florida, buying in Illinois, what it was like. We're going to talk now a little bit about your experience buying in Illinois. So, and you know, real estate is crazy. There's always surprises. You know, the best thing is when there's no surprises, but it's rare when there's no surprises. I don't care where you're buying, where you're selling. It doesn't matter. You got to be prepared, and you got to work with agents and attorneys and everybody else that has your back.
Whole team. It takes a village.
It takes a village. I like to say that. No, you're right. It absolutely does. So let's talk about your experience here in Illinois buying a home. So on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of stress, where would you put it?
Honestly, probably at a 5.
About a 5.
Yeah, because like I float between 4 and 6, so clearly it's a 5.
So not bad.
No, overall not bad at all.
Not bad.
Like the majority of the stress involved has just been getting the timing down on stuff, and like
isn't that always the case?
Oh yeah,
especially when you're selling and buying,
and also moving across the country.
That's
the real kicker there, because
it's stressful.
Kevin's boss decided he didn't want to manage him from the distance. So he had to get a new job. So we ended up here 3 weeks earlier than anticipated.
But it all worked out.
Oh yeah, it worked out. Yeah. It worked out very nicely, because on Thursday, when it turned out the underwriter didn't like the phrasing of the confirmation of work, and we had to get a pay stub and a reconfirmation, we were able to do that. And it worked out beautifully.
Awesome.
It could not have worked out better unless they had pushed it a little faster.
Yeah. By the way, the lender you worked with, Ryan Boyd at Cross Country Mortgage, was awesome.
We've been working with Ryan since our first home buy back in 2019, actually, and he's been an absolute delight.
What a great team. Him and Jody were spot on. Always great communicators. One of the things with managing a real estate transaction, I've been doing this 24 plus years, is you really have to communicate, and hopefully the other side you're dealing with is communicating as well, because that is the key. To keep everybody's stress level down, keep everybody informed, keep everything transparent. That's the key.
It's very much like the legal field and stuff.
Yeah.
I've talked with friends who work in that realm and stuff recently. And you come to the table with an understanding that there's rules for a reason, and all you can do is communicate across and come to the table with, a collaborative attitude.
Now, I would say that in this transaction here, for the home you're purchasing in Richton Park, which, like I said earlier, today after the show, we're going to do our final walkthrough, and then we're closing on Monday.
Yep.
Well, first of all, let's do it. What are you looking for at your final walkthrough?
Honestly, getting a feel for where things are, if there's any sort of last minute concerns or anything. I don't expect there to be much of any kind of concern, like the way that they've taken care of the house and the repairs that were done and stuff. So I'm not concerned about it at all.
Yeah.
What we're really using this as is looking through and going, oh, we're getting a really good feel for the house, because we did a lot of virtual with it and we haven't actually walked through it yet. So we're excited to actually get feet on the ground and walk through and stuff.
I have a feeling when you guys are there again today,
we're going to fall even more.
Yeah, you are, because when I was there last time, when me and BJ were there, when we did the home inspection, I just, I walked in and Pam, the seller, was there, who's a wonderful lady. She, I looked at the house again. I said, man, you have really taken care of this house well. It is it's just in great condition. It really is. So I was getting into that, communication is everything. It stops surprises and all that. And I think in this purchase, in this transaction, I do believe that the seller side was very cognizant of that. And I think they communicated really well. However, there was a little surprise that came up, and this is part of buying a house. Let's talk about this a little. Tell us what it was.
So I went down to Village Hall and was trying to follow up with making sure we could get our utilities turned on, and they require a certificate of occupancy. So there was an inspection done back on the 12th, I believe, of June, and they brought up a list of issues that needed to be repaired for them to issue a certificate. And that certificate is required for us to be able to occupy the house. So it turns out that on the list of issues was a bunch of the stuff that came up with our FHA inspection. Those got repaired. But there was also a concern for the driveway slab and that it needed to be pulled and re-poured, which never came up to us. Was not brought up, was not put in and amongst anything, not mentioned at any point in time. So now we have to put down a $2,000 escrow to get our certificate in order to move into the house. So, surprise, here's a $2,000 cost out of
and
nowhere.
This is a municipal escrow.
Yes.
So it's not FHA. It actually didn't come up on the FHA inspection, but it did come up on the municipal inspection. It was a little strange to me because it's in the driveway, which is not necessarily a trip hazard. It's not where people are typically walking, which is what they look for normally, excuse me. So that was a little bit of a surprise when it came up. But, and I mentioned this to you yesterday that, it's a municipal escrow. It's a requirement of the municipality. And unfortunately, there's not a lot of bargaining, right?
Like, it is what it is. It's going to have to be paid out. It's going to have to be dealt with. It just would have been nice to know
on the 12th. On the 12th.
That it was a thing.
It's not that anything would have changed, but you would have known, you would have been prepared. And this is what I can't stress enough to sellers, buyers, attorneys, agents, the agents that work with me at Luxe Group. Communicate. Just communicate, because the less surprises, the less
there's no
controversy.
Over communication.
No such thing. No such thing as over communicating. So I've got to ask you a question. I want you to think back to the first house you bought. Okay. Put yourself back. This was in when? 2019. 2019. That was the first house you bought. You bought it for $195, you said? Okay. What was the scariest thing about buying a house when you first got into that?
What's wrong with it?
Yeah.
What is hidden? What are we not seeing as something that is going to be a concern in 6 months.
And this is after you were under contract.
Oh, yeah.
It was scary.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, well, looking at houses too, though, is going and looking and seeing, here's the problems we can see. What are the problems that we can't see?
Yeah, it's what you don't know.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And like, it's the unknowns that really are scary in that.
Yeah.
And, you know, the money adds into that too, because you have to concern yourself with, okay, what can I actually afford with this? And what's going to crop up and be a problem and make it so I can't afford this now?
Yeah.
So again, it's a lot of the unknowns are just that it's scary. It's scary to walk in and be like, all right, well, hopefully this works out.
Yeah. Right. You know, I was the same way when I bought my first house. I was like, you know, I had rented and I was happy renting. And my wife is like, no, we're buying. And so I was excited. It was a townhome, a little less, you know, responsibility for the homeowner when you buy a townhome. So there's a little less stress involved, but
it's a good step between.
Yeah, right. But you still have that thing in the back of your mind where, you know, you're wondering about what could go wrong. And I think that's the biggest fear for most first-time home buyers.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What can go wrong? Yeah. And can I plan for it?
Hey, I have one more question. We're going to take one final break. I'm going to come back and I got one more question for you.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay.
Tune in to Real Estate Radio, Saturdays at 9 a.m., hosted by the real estate therapist Larry Shakman, a top-producing real estate broker, author, CEO, and founder of TrustedAgentUSA.com. Top-performing agents for 2% commission, saving you thousands when you sell, buy, or invest. Real Estate Radio, the ultimate real estate radio experience. Get insider tips from experts throughout the real estate industry. Streaming live on Facebook at WCPT 820. Trusted Agent USA, Illinois, license number 475-145795. Welcome back to Real Estate Radio, sponsored in part by TrustedAgentUSA.com, the ultimate real estate matchmaker, saving you thousands. Now back to Larry, the real estate therapist.
All right, everybody, we are back and we are wrapping it up today for this June 29th edition of the Real Estate Radio Show. We have had a blast talking with Destiny about her purchase. I'm excited for her. I know she and her husband, Kevin, are excited as well, and looking forward to that. I have, and by the way, we're happy to have all you guys with us as well. So, I'm interested in something because, you know, all the noise that's been out there about realtors make too much money and all this stuff that's going on about just the whole real estate model, the DOJ case and all that stuff. So my question for you is this. Now, you and Kevin kind of know your way around a house. You're comfortable with the process of buying and selling. You're confident. I can tell that talking to you, and you have some really good knowledge about the whole process and homes in general. I mean, you asked me some really poignant and, you know, questions that a lot of, frankly, home buyers don't ask me. And I appreciate that. I love that because it means you're fully invested in this and you're doing your homework.
Absolutely.
Don't be intellectually lazy when you're buying a house.
You have to go and do the research.
You've got to do it. Don't count on your realtor. No. Don't count on your attorney. Do it yourself. Be your own advocate.
The initiative to like really be your own advocate.
Yes. You know, it's kind of like with healthcare. You have to be your own advocate. Be there fighting for yourself. Ask questions. Same thing when you're buying or selling a house.
Absolutely. And there's the same amount of like, do I need to ask this?
Yeah.
That comes along with it, but absolutely ask.
Yeah, ask. There's no dumb questions.
Right.
And me personally, I want a client like you. I want a client to ask me a lot of questions, drill it down. I want you to understand.
You the experience too.
Yeah, absolutely. It gives you
the breadth of experience to make you a better agent.
100%. So here's my question.
Yeah.
Why why do you work? I mean, you guys know your stuff a little bit here.
Mhm.
Why are you working with a realtor? Like, why? Like, we were referred to you
Mhm.
from an LPT agent
Mhm.
in Florida,
Mhm.
referred to my partner at Luxe Group, Mike,
Mhm.
and I handled your transaction.
Yeah.
So, why work with a realtor, and how do we do?
Why work with a realtor? Because no matter how much you think you know, no, you don't.
Yeah.
There is so much nuance in real estate. And again, it's a local market. You can't
Great
know
point.
the areas you're looking into just by trying to look at them. You have to have that local expert, even if it's just, as you know, you guys cover a good chunk of an area, but you still know these areas. You still know these markets.
Yes.
You've been watching these markets. You live in these markets. You know what's going on here. And having that kind of experience is invaluable.
Mhm.
Like, not to mention just knowing, hey, when I can text you and go, hey, have you ever dealt with this sort of thing before?
Mhm.
And you can go, yeah, here's some of the details that I have on this. And I go, oh, okay, cool.
Mhm.
Now I have more that I can go research into and more that I can go look into.
Mhm.
But I have a clearer direction instead of spending hours on Google trying to find what I'm looking for. I can go, hey, Larry,
Yeah.
Call
me.
What's going on with this? And you can be like, oh, yeah, no, this is the realm you want to be looking into. And I go, oh, cool. And then I can go do my own research and add to that knowledge. Just fantastic.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna make you repeat your second part of that question again.
So my the second part of the question, which you can get to in a minute,
Mhm.
is how did we do? How did
Oh,
I do?
yeah.
How did Lux Group do? How did our attorney we referred you to, Fernando, do? How did it go?
Fantastic. Like, if I could have this experience just on the people side of things every single time, sign me up for life.
Awesome.
Let's go.
Well, I appreciate that. We try hard. And, you know, I end all of my conversations with my clients when I'm talking to them on the phone is, hey, and I'm sure you remember this,
Mhm.
I would just say, hey, if you have any questions, if you need anything, just give me a call,
Mhm.
because I can't help you if you don't call me.
Right.
And I don't care when you can call me at 11 o'clock at night. If I'm up, I'm going to answer the phone.
Exactly.
You call me at 7 o'clock in the morning. If I'm up, I'm going to answer the phone.
Mhm. And if you don't answer the phone, messages can be left and you'll call them right
Yeah,
back as
or
soon as you
text
can.
me, or
Right,
text me.
exactly.
So,
And like in today's day, being able to text between is
Yeah.
a lifesaver.
yeah. So,
Lifesaver.
would you work with a realtor again?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, every time I buy or sell, like, I will absolutely work with a realtor.
And you're pretty experienced. So I think that
Mhm.
I think that says a lot and goes a long way to the value of real estate. And I'm not blowing my own horn here. I'm not saying me, but I'm saying real estate agents in
Yes.
general provide a really necessary service.
Truly necessary.
Yeah.
You have to vet your agents though too.
Yes,
'Cause that's wildly
100%.
important. Because when we bought our house back in 2019, the agent we worked with was too new, didn't know what was going on,
Mhm.
and I feel like we got kind of
Yeah.
little screwed over
I
on
hear
some
ya.
of our closing costs
Yeah.
and stuff. But we took that and we went, all right, cool. We need to have someone who's more experienced. We know what to look for in a real estate agent a little bit better now.
Yeah.
And that's how we found Casey down in Florida.
Yeah.
And through Zillow, hilariously. But we went, okay, cool. This is the guy we want to work with. So we went and contacted him again when we went to sell. We went,
Mhm.
hey, we remember you.
Awesome.
Come back.
Awesome.
And he's what got us to you guys. So like, obviously a fantastic relationship there.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Destiny, you and Kevin have been great clients to work with. I am super happy about everything that's going on for you. We're going to go to your final walkthrough now. We're going to close on Monday.
Yeah.
And I just want to thank you again for being here.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. And we will see you next Saturday on the Real Estate Radio Show. We'll see you then.